But I remember, though, when this was being advocated for, and this woman who was pushing this program, and she came up and spoke. Actually, I heard her. She sounded extremely frustrated that, all these teachers came out against the IB
It's not
program.
working. And the thing about it, Marjorie, is that it's not like the teachers, after the first year, they say, oh, they'll throw their hands up. After the second year, they said, oh, you throw your hands up. After the third year, this is going into the fourth year, that they finally decide that, you know what, we can't allow these kids to fall further behind. We are sending kids over to the high school that are absolutely clueless. They're clueless. Because the teachers, some of these teachers, they tell you it's frustration. And one teacher gave an example of he had one kid do something through IB and did something through another whatever.
Which I listened to that where they were comparing.
Another
rubric.
program.
They were just rubrics. They were comparing.
Right, rubrics. And the kids were saying that, oh man, the other rubrics, I understand it fully. And he came to a sort of rational conclusion. But the IB, he was all, and that's the thing about it. We got all these people sitting on the Board of Education. It seemed to me sometimes like they're clueless too.
Why do you say?
Because you have these type of program and you don't hear no voice in the wind, man. As my son would say, it seems like they're all conformists. They're all conformists. You don't hear anyone, thinking outside the box.
I think that the implementation of IB was initially a thought outside of the box. And it was an effort to, this is how they were able, by implementing this program, to de-level. Because what it does, in theory, is it allows everyone to work at their own pace. So let's say that you find some interest in aquatic life of, the Caribbean Sea. And so you're going to take that from a historical point of view, a scientific point of view. You're going to find some way to mathematically explain whatever it is, and obviously have to write about it. Mm-hmm. And so it's an inquiry method where you are crossing all these disciplines to come up with, a final product. And there's nothing. I mean, when you learn stuff, the best learning, so it is said, is if it is inquiry based, where let me understand why this works this way. And so you're taking it across disciplines. It's not just you learn this in math and then you leave and you go to social studies and you learn something that has absolutely nothing to do with the math that you were just taught. And then you go to a science class that isn't somehow related to the math or the social studies class. And the goal of this IB project is for you to be able to put together one big project. And you become the expert in that and able to use the skills that you're taught in these other classes. So, I mean, they just like they all said that they totally understand the model and find it worthwhile.
As a teacher, are you for or against the IB?
I was always for that program. I like that program.
You like standardized programs, don't you?
Some of them.
Which one don't you like?
I don't like things that are rote memorization kind of.
No, but like, is it possible you can give me an example?
Let's see, like the kind of KIPP programs or programs.
KIPP?
KIPP.
Oh, that's a charter school.
That's a charter school, but they have their own method of teaching.
But aren't they the best?
Their own method of teaching.
But aren't they one of the best though?
I don't know. Depends on how you feel about it.
It's my understanding that they're very successful with their kids.
Well, we should look into that. But I'm not going to look into it on this little laptop here. But
The Strollers present Fuddy Mears, a dark, absurdist farce about all that is imperfect and flawed in the human condition. Come see it at the Bergdorf Center for the Performing Arts on 10 Durand Road in Maplewood. Friday and Saturday performances are on March 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th at 8 p.m., with a Sunday matinee on March 8th at 2 p.m. Visit thestrollers.org for tickets and details. Don't stay at home. Come play with the Strollers.
Now, you, I am against this IB program. I'm against that. I'm against Common Core. I'm against all those standardized tests. You just throw them out the window, right? Because to me, to me, it doesn't really give you it gives you an indication of who are the kids who can afford a tutor. All right, in order for them to learn what they have to learn, the tutor can teach them the skills, the talents and ability that they need in order to do well on the test, and they're going to do well on the test. It doesn't really tell me anything. Those are the kids that want to go to Ivy League school, fine. Let them go to their Ivy League school. But those tests doesn't give me a true indication of what type of student you are going to be, or if you're going to be truly successful out into the business world. It's just trying to eliminate the high performance students, so to speak, from the low performance students, and trying to say which students can go to Princeton, Yale, Brown University, Dartmouth. If you want to talk about University of Oxford, Cambridge, that type of schools, University of Pennsylvania, but it doesn't really. I'm against those tests anyway. So I know you're gonna be. Are you for those tests?
Are we talking about the test or the IB thing? Or
yeah, the IB and the NJ-ASK and the ACT and the SAT and the test to get into these prep schools.
So you would eliminate, if it were up to you, you would eliminate all of them?
I eliminate all of them.
So what do you
I give you regular tests.
What the heck is a regular test?
Not all that junk stuff that you don't really need. You don't need that stuff. All that stuff that they're trying to give you.
So what's a regular test?
I mean, stuff that you learn in the class. Not stuff that you got to buy a book or you got to go to tutoring to. For example, if you take the ACT, some of that stuff, you don't learn that stuff in class. You got to get a tutor to help you with that stuff. I don't think everything in the SAT you learn in the class.
No.
I think you got to go to Kaplan or Princeton or go to one of those other prep, classes or companies in order to do well on those tests. Some kids may be able to stay at home and study off the internet and do well, but I believe most of the kids that do well take prep classes. Did your son take a prep class?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He tried to tutor himself.
All right. Now, as you wanna talk about this Columbia High School baseball coach?
Yeah. Well, why don't you? You started this out by interviewing this guy.
Which guy is that?
I saw you talk to the coach, or listened rather. Yeah. Did you speak to the coach?
Yeah. I got him to say a little something, Yeah. I was trying to make him. He was very emotional. But Marjorie, I got to be honest with you. I got to be very honest with you. In this community, parents in this community, man, their kid could be the worst kid. The worst kid. He can't even hit a paddle ball, right? But the parents is influential. The parents want their kids to play, and if their kids don't play, they can rally other parents, right, to say things about the coach in these communities. I know that. My son played soccer at Columbia High School, and this is a great example. My son played soccer at Columbia High School. He played soccer for 3 years. He never started a varsity game at Columbia High School for 3 years. Not one. These guys used to be playing lacrosse. Guys who would be full-time lacrosse used to start in front of him. Other guys, all other guys used to start again in front of him. Not because he was the worst kid, but I wasn't like an ordinary parent. I knew that eventually my son is going to have to go out into the world and be able to fend for himself. So you know what I told him? I said, listen. I said, Malcolm, you know what it is, man? You got to play harder, man. You got to practice more. I don't want to hear anything about the coach. All right? I don't want to hear about the coach. He said, but Dad, the coach don't like me. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the coach don't like you. You're going to go out into the world. A lot of people are not going to like you. What you going to do? Dad, can you go talk to my boss for me? So I told him, I said, listen. So after 3 years, we decided enough is enough. We sent him to boarding school. And he was one of only 2 kids out of that whole team that went to college on a soccer scholarship. One of only 2. Out of all those other kids that was on the team playing in front of him, that went to school on a soccer scholarship. Now, if I had gone and rallied parents to get behind and say, you know what, the coach is bad, the coach is not good, the coach is a P, and the coach is all this kind of stuff, I want my son, right, to be able to deal with the consequences. Listen now, once the coach don't bully him, the coach don't disrespect him, and the coach, I'm not going to ask for treating fairly, because that don't normally happen, right? So I don't have any problem.
Fairness isn't normal, huh?
Yeah. So you hear all these people talking about, the coach called him a P, and the coach told him you ain't going to be nothing. And let me give you another example, Marjorie. When I went to Seton Hall, right, there was 7 people in my event that came in, including me. I was number 7. I was number 7. And the big thing was to be on the relay team. And on the relay team is only 4 guys. I said, okay. The coach really didn't have a lot of confidence in me, because the only reason why he took me is because he wanted to get this other kid at the same school I was. He was one of the top kids in the United States. So I was like a throw in, Just throw me in, But I was the first one in my family to go to college. So he think that maybe after a year I get rid of Anselm. I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking like, man, this is the greatest opportunity I had in my life. This ain't going to slip away. Right? So coaches can discourage you if you allow them to discourage you. And then my coach said to me, like the first time we had practice, I remember we were at Cameron Field and everybody was there. And he said, what's your major? I said, my major is business. He said, you sure want to major in business? You don't think you want to try physical education? I was like, physical education?
Dang.
I was like, what the hell is he talking about? So I knew that I was on my own. But eventually, he made me captain. Your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become.
Okay. Coach. For those who didn't listen to the Board of Ed meeting, I'll try to read this article here. Under fire from parents, players, Columbia High School baseball coach is reappointed. So the coach, I guess, of this article has been updated to correct the details. Okay. All right. After a contentious Board of Education meeting Monday that laid bare bitter divisions among parents, student-athletes, and graduates of Columbia High School's baseball program as to the emotional fitness of the team's head coach, the board voted to reappoint him. Varsity head coach Joseph Fischetti, who had been under internal investigation by the school district earlier this year in response to parent allegations of misbehavior, was reappointed for the spring 2015 season, but not before board members heard numerous people speak out, some staunchly defending the coach and others strongly against him. Several parents accused Fischetti and assistant coach Matthew Beck of creating a fearful, toxic atmosphere where some players were mocked and berated in front of teammates and others, subjected to sexually abuses and homophobic language, and benched for speaking out. In some cases, parents said the coaches actively attempted to sabotage students' chances at getting recruited to college teams. A number of families have issues with the coaching team, said parent Mark Stern. He said a group of parents, some of whose children have already graduated, sent a lengthy document to the Board of Education in the fall detailing numerous complaints against the coaches. Principal Columbia High School Elizabeth Aaron and the athletic director Larry, I don't know how do you say this, Buccio, launched an investigation of Fischetti that ultimately found no merit to the parents' claims, one parent said. However, parents said the investigation was not impartial